Yeah, YouTubers, Tazman here, bringing you another episode of Fantasy Grounds from the ground up. And I decided I was going to do a kind of a user's, um, not manual, I don't know, tutorial. Yes, I think that works. So, this is going to assume that you already have Fantasy Grounds installed, that you created an account on fantasygrounds.com, and it could be the free version you're running, it could be the pay version. That doesn't really matter. But once you get into Fantasy Grounds and have it launched, you want to go to Join Campaign. Now inside here you will see a whole list of all kinds of servers that are out in the cloud. Now, if you know your GM's name, you can sometimes type it in here. This seems a little glitchy to me sometimes. Like if I were to look for 39 Sam, which is just right there, just typing in 39 doesn't seem to cut it. If I do S after that, now it'll seem to do it. So it will work. This part, I'm not 100% sure. I guess if you already know the perfect, if you know the absolute name, you can just do that and then click start. And then if it's a LAN game, and one thing I want to point out with the cloud game, this is one of the advantages, say, over Foundry that Fantasy Grounds has, is you can host your things out in the cloud, and then you don't have to worry about any port forwarding or anything like that. So here you can see that we have, 385 public games. However, there are 541 games in total. So I imagine if the game is a private game and not listed here, that's when you would have to join by GM name, which means you would have to know the full thing. This little black icon right here means it's password protected. And you can see there's like 22 pages of servers. If you are in here and you see a little yellow guy right here, this means that you're not running the same version as the one that you're trying to connect to. If that was the one, you can always click check for updates. This button will turn red, usually a little red outline around it, if there are updates. If you are updated but the server you're trying to connect to isn't, I think then they have to go update or something. So anyway, we're going to join a LAN game because this is my VM and I actually have on my computer the actual one. So you can just type in the IP address here, and the port number is optional. If you do not type in a port, it will default to 1802, which is the port that, unless specified, Fantasy Grounds uses. Once you've done this once, it'll actually put up in the history what you've done. So here you can see I'm connecting to 192.168.10.1, which is private IP address. Don't try and access it through the internet. You won't get there. But I can either type in the IP address here, click start, or I can click up here. I can double click it, or I can hit start. If there is a password, that's right here is where you would get the password screen. So really quick, why this loads, I want to talk about, I'm hoping this is going to be a 15 to 20 minute long video. However, there's a lot to do, and my goal here is to make it so that as a new user you can watch this video and you can get into a game and actually kind of feel a little bit comfortable about what your options are and how to actually play. So usually I'll swap between the GM view and the player view. In this case, I'm only going to do the player view. So the first thing that will pop up when you join the game is this little campaign setup. Generally, I tell people just go ahead and click show on load, uncheck that, and then click X, and then it won't show anymore. We're going to go through it just so you know what it is. Basically, here we have some guides for Fantasy Grounds. Actually, we're going to go ahead and uncheck that still. Then we have data modules. So usually this will be modules that are available to load. I usually have the players do that manually, but you can click on this, click on modules, which will basically take you into the library, into the modules area, and then you can go ahead and connect there. Go and close that. And then there's the options, which is the same as going into here, and going into options. And we're going to do that all manually, but I'm going to show you some things, and then you hit finish. So really, it's not that much that it gives you. So once you've closed that window, the first thing that pops up will be the character selection. If you by chance close that on accident, you can always bring it back up by clicking characters. We're going to load up 2 characters, and this is something you can do as a player. You can actually, like if you have one laptop for all your players, they can all use the same laptop. Some things get a little weird, like the dice might not change right colors and stuff like that, but for the most part it works pretty good. So we're going to choose Dutheon here, and I'm going to go ahead and close that. Well, yeah. And then we're also going to choose Mercy, and there's a very specific reason. So Dutheon, I believe he's a fighter, and then Mercy is our cleric. So anyway, now that we have these guys open up here, we can double click these and we can open up our character sheet anytime we want. We can open both of those. If the DM has it set so you can't see other people's stuff, then clicking on people that you do not own will not actually show you the character sheet. Now the game does do different colored dice. You can change the color of dice. As you can see, this tiny little dot represents the color of your dice. If we click on the little color palette here, we're just going to change Mercy maybe to kind of a bluish color like that, and change the text to that. So now you see she's that. And then if we click on Dutheon, see how he kind of got a little bolder text. Now we can change his as well to, I don't know, maybe purple. So something along those lines. And then you can tell which character you actually have selected also, because the dice change color. So this is once again, if you're just playing a single player and no one else is sharing it with you, and then you really don't need to worry about, what color dice they are currently. So the first thing I want to talk about is the character sheet. So the character sheet looks kind of similar to the stuff you find on an actual paper character sheet. You have your abilities on this side, your saves on this side. It says strength, dex, con, so on and so forth. You have your background, you have your race, you have your class, and it does support multi-classing, which is why it doesn't actually have the little eye off to the side. It has a little magnifying glass, because as you level up you can actually put other classes in here. Anytime you do see this eye or whatever's at the end, sometimes it's a buckler. It depends on the theme that your GM is actually using. You can click on that, and I don't have the module loaded for that. We got to get into that real quick. So if we go to library, we can go to modules, and there's a lot here shared. I'm just going to type SRD because we're going to show you what is the free stuff. So we have the SRD data. That's the only module we need to load. I don't think we have any others loaded. Perfect. So you can see this little web icon. This means that it is a shared resource from your DM. If you don't see that, that means it's actually, I don't know that I have any modules that aren't free on this guy. Let's go ahead and turn that to not loaded. So you can see here, DM is actually sharing quite a bit of modules with me. I don't, like I said, the only ones I actually have are the default ones. Like I think there's the hold on just one sec. There's the Fantasy Grounds one. I can't find it right now, but that's okay. We're not going to worry about that. Anyway, if your DM actually has created your characters, odds are it's going to have all the links you need to it. I don't think any of these are actually going to pull up because we don't have PHP Deluxe version here right now. But like I said, that's okay. We can still work fine without that. So your character sheets here. This guy right here is the portrait that shows up here. This guy is the token that will show up on the map. You can just simply go into assets here And if you have any or they're being shared, you can actually just drag them from here, or you can actually double click this like so, and change it this way. Other than that, we're not going to go into character creation. I just wanted to quickly show you, because these are things you need in the game. So generally, if you're told to roll for initiative, you come onto the main page here, and this INIT is your initiative. All these ones that have this little box here, or the little, it's a 20-sided die shape. You can double click this, and as you can see, we can roll, and it will automatically add in any bonuses, which is the +3 modifier. We can also grab a die down here. If we right click it, we can get more, and we can get quite a few more. Also, if you left click it, like I said, you pick it up. If you right click it before you pick it up, you get options. So you can actually say, oh, I want to roll 4 of these. Or with the 10-sided dice, we can actually right click and say, oh, I want the percentile dice, and go ahead and roll those. Sorry. So anytime you see those, for example, we have strength here, we can do it that way. We can double click it. Either of those will work, as you can see. And then there are some other things that we're going to be getting into. So we also have down here have our hit dice. Like if we're injured and we want to take a short rest and heal up, we can use the hit dice for that, and that will automatically say, okay, you get 8 points. This didn't actually use our hit die because we're not wounded, so it's a little intelligent like that. Also, if we die, then we have our death saving throws. This isn't really a teach you D&D completely. This is just showing you the different roles and areas that you might need to know. So once again, we can just double click this guy. We can drag it over here. And as you can see, we have a 10 on our death save, which would be... why didn't that actually... Do I have to do it here? Whoops. I'm not sure why that didn't do it. Is it because I'm in the combat tracker? Oh, I'm not dead. It's smart. I have to actually be dead. So let's go 26. Oh, I can't do that here. I have to do that in the GM screen. But anyway, so when you are dead or unconscious, then you will do this, the death saves. The other thing is, this is your AC. This is how hard you are to hit. This is your speed. Pretty easy right there. If you're told to roll different checks, skill checks, you do those on the skills right here. So the star, of course, means proficient. So if we needed to roll acrobatics to see if we could do something, once again, we can drag it here. We could double click it. The other thing we can do is down here, if the GM has enabled the dice tower, you'll see a dice tower. We can move that because I don't like where it is. I like usually putting it right around here. Go ahead and right click, lock the position. So if the GM tells you to roll something in the dice tower, that's what they're telling you to do. You take it, you drop it in here, and you'll notice I don't get to see the value that it comes out. I just see that it rolled a dice, but the GM, on the other hand, does get to see that. So as the GM, I can see that I actually rolled a nat 1 with the +5, which is right there, which gives us a 6. So this helps eliminate metagaming. Holy cow, we're at 14 minutes already. The next tab down on the side here is abilities. These will once again show you different things that you can do. You can click on the eye. Apparently I can't because I didn't create these guys with just the SRD. So I can't really click on them to show all of them. Anyway, it looks like. But you can get more information there. The next tab down is the inventory. This is what you have on you. So if you want to know, do I have a water skin? You can come in here, see I have a water skin. You can put location. This is manually put in, saying that it's in the backpack. We can keep track of our golden stuff, how much weight we're carrying, and what our current weight is based off of this stuff up here. We have our notes section where we can put our size, height, weight, all that fun stuff. We can put our alignment. If we have a deity, we can put them in here. We have our different traits, personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws. We can put appearance and we can put notes. All you have to do is go in here and type. That's it. The log section, usually if you're doing Adventures League, then you might use this. Here you don't have to do it, but it does have this nice little adventures area where you can actually add lines to say you want to do stuff. If you make a mistake and make a line that you don't want, you can always click on the little plus minus at the bottom, click that once and twice, and it's gone. Turn it back off right there. Then the other pane that you will use the most, the main ones you're going to be using in game will be your main for saves and checks, your and death saves, and also your hit dice, skills for different skill checks, and then your actions tab. This is where it has your weapons, any spells if you have them, standard actions, all this fun stuff is down here. Once again, all you have to do, we're going to switch this over to actions and this to combat, just because it sorts it a little better. So if I'm using my Dwarven Resilience, or well, I guess it's passive, so it's always on, you can add this to your character. So if we go look at the combat tracker real quick, you'll see there is nothing going on Duthyon. If I click on, say, a Dwarven Resilience, you'll see it adds this effect, which the game will now automatically know to give me a resistance to poison, which means half damage. Gives me advantage on saving throws versus poison. So some of these things it doesn't actually know. Just because, for example, with this, there isn't a save for poison. There isn't a check for poison. Usually you would say it's a Constitution saving throw. So what you would do in this case is, if I was told to make a Constitution saving throw, I would come down here and hit ADV, which is advantage. DIS is disadvantage. So if I click on ADV and then I go to my Constitution, since this is a saving throw, I will double click it and you'll see it will roll 2 dice, 17 twice, and it will drop the lower of the 2 and keep the higher, and so I got a Constitution saving throw of 22. So that's kind of the character sheet. The next thing you will want to do is, and I just wanted to cruise over that. I probably took longer than I wanted to, but I wanted to talk about some other things, how to get your game set up and what these different areas are. So of course we have our dice tower, we have our main chat window. This is where all the rolls happen. We have our dice down here, we have our characters up here, and if there are more people, you will see more people up there. And then we have our modifiers down here. So as you can see, we have advantage, disadvantage. These are quick ones for, partial cover, full cover, or excuse me, or you can even add your own. Like if it's a custom modifier and you wanted to roll it, using this die instead of something else, or whatever a reason that your GM might say, okay, give me a D20 and give yourself a +3 modifier. So I could then pick up my die here, roll it, and you'll see it's a regular D20 roll, but it has a +3 modifier. Or if I want a -3, like I have a disadvantage for it, I can click here and I can actually do minus and 3 and then do that same roll, and you'll see it does a minus modifier. So this is kind of the interface. There's also the default settings for your buttons is play mode. If you're creating a character, you might want a different mode. So let's just talk about that real quick, along with the manual die entry. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to manual die entry. As a client, there are very few options you actually get to set. You can see what the GM has set for all the other options, but you can only change these 4. So ring on chat whisper, which will let you know that that someone's whispering to you. There's the dice either automatic where it rolls it here, or if you do this, you get this little window, and then you take a die like a d20, roll it, and we got a 6. So then you would hit 6 right here and hit OK, and you can see it says manual roll 6. Now this also works with your actions and all the other types, as we've seen a little bit ago. Then you have a target removal. So you have choices here. If I miss a target, right now it will automatically remove all targets if I'm doing a multi-attack. So if I'm doing a spell that targets 3 things and I miss, it will actually untarget all 3 things. There's also off, so every time you miss, it doesn't care. On means if you miss anything, even a single target, it will automatically untarget it. So this is kind of handy because that is one of the things, is remembering who's targeted. Like if you're healing yourself, you have to target yourself. If you have the enemy targeted at the same time, you might heal them as well on accident. So targeting in almost any virtual tabletop I've seen is kind of there's a lot of manual process to it. And then this final thing is auto center map. This means that when it's your turn, it will auto center on the character that its turn it is. Then we have down, then we have down here our languages. So you can see all the different languages. This is important for a couple reasons. One is, for example, with Dutheon here, if we go click on his abilities, we can see he speaks Common, Common and Dwarvish. So because we're on Dutheon, we can actually come down here and we can choose, say, Dwarvish. And it has fonts built in that you can actually, so anyone else that speaks Dwarvish will be able to see this, but then they'll also be able to see a translation. Mercy, on the other hand, because I'm in the same screen, it's not going to work, but Mercy, on the other hand, she speaks Celestial, Common, Infernal, and Undercommon. Any other characters that don't speak, say Dwarvish in Dutheon's case, would only see this. If the GM wants to type something, for example, and I'm actually curious how this is going to work, because, so here's Dwarvish. We're going to type hey there, and we're going to hit enter. So here you can see that Taz, the GM, has said this, and it translates to this. If I go do that same thing, whoops, I want to switch to, were we on Mercy? I wonder if it's because we have both of them, it understands everything that's being spoken. Hey. Yeah, it looks like because I have 2 characters here, even though I have Mercy selected, she's able to see what is being said. So this is something, if you have multiple people using the same device, it's not going to be as cool. But if I had multiple players connected using different devices and each player was their own, they would only see that part. So that's what that's talking about. So, and now I just want to quickly show you. I'm going to share the map that the GM screen has, or the GM one has. Oh, we're at 24 minutes. So here we can see a completely black screen, and the reason this is black is, one, as the GM, I have not placed the characters there, so they can't see anything, which is kind of nice, actually. I'm going to go ahead and place my characters. Let me go load this real quick. There we go. So I'm going to put Dutheon right here, and now you can see, we can see a little bit, and we're going to put Mercy right here next to him. Now, one thing I want to point out here, and once again, I'm not 100% sure if this is going to work properly because we have 2 characters going off the same thing. But if we zoom in here, one thing I like to point out with Dutheon here, it works in this sense. Mercy can't see him. Let's go to the combat tracker real quick. So the combat tracker is where everything happens. So Mercy is a human. So if we go click on this, on Mercy, you'll see she doesn't have any special senses, which are right here. So if we go and select Dutheon, or select Mercy, you'll notice she doesn't see anything. Now she does see a tiny bit through the corner up here, but we have a torch up in here, so she's able to see just a little bit. Now one thing we can do with her, there we go, that's better. One thing we can do with her, if we have torches on us, we can actually go and apply an effect to her called torch, and we just drag that on top of her, and now you can see she actually is able to see in a good distance, you know, the torch distance. You can see up here it's kind of starting to fade out a little bit. So if she moves, you can actually see that she's able to see a bit. Now one cool thing is Dutheon, on the other hand, if we go look at him, we can see he actually has dark vision. So if we click on him instead, you'll notice that like over here is gray, because dark vision, you see grayscaled. You don't get to see color. Now if we move Mercy on up here and move Dutheon, you'll actually see that the map is colored. He's just seeing grayscaled. This room in here actually has a torch, so that's why you're actually seeing it. But if we were to take away her torch, for example, come here and as GM, go into Mercy, take away her torch. Once again, she's blinded. Now, it does have Fog of War, where anywhere you've seen, you should still be able to see, or be able to see shadow of. However, you will not be able to see people. So, it's really dark for her right now. But if we took Dutheon here, and we put her up here, and then switch back to Dutheon. So here, Dutheon can clearly see her. Actually, can see her right there too. But he cannot see her when she's outside of the light. So it does update. I can still know what this room looks like. However, I can't actually see any of the tokens within that room. So we're going to bring Dutheon up here, and we have some actual goblins that are standing right here and here, but right now they're hidden. So if I unhide them, you'll see Dutheon can now see them. There's torches in this room, so his dark vision doesn't need to kick in. But you'll see when we leave the room that it actually hides the goblin tokens anytime they're outside of his vision light. Bring her in, you can see once again her little limited torch light. Oh, actually, she didn't have her torch light. She was using that light in there. So anyway, let's go ahead and give her, I'm going to give her a candle. I'm going to give her something even less. So just a little candle light. She's walking around this dungeon with just a candle. So because this room's lit up, she's able to see. If we come in here, we can actually show you a quick little idea of a battle, and then I think we might close it off at that. I think I covered the majority of what I wanted to. So in a battle, for example, Dutheon has a couple options as far as his targeting. So one, he can control click, and you will see, oops, actually it's Mercy. Dang it. I need to select Dutheon. There we go. He's selected. He has the ring around him. So if he control clicks, you'll actually see he is now targeting Goblin 3, and it shows you the distance he is from it. Mercy's no longer targeting it. So remember, we did set it to manual die roll. So if we double click on Dutheon here or double click him here, we can pull up our character sheet and we can say we want to attack him. Now if we have manual die rolls, because we actually like rolling ourselves, we can actually kind of stack this up and say, okay, well, Dutheon knows he's going to do this, so we're going to do this and then do this, right? So it knows already that this modifier needs to be added in, and it will know that if damage is done, this is the damage that needs to be done to it. It shows you what you need to roll right here. If you decide after all, I want to, we'll do it with Mercy, but you can click on this to cancel it. So if we miss, so this is our main attack. So if we miss, let's go ahead and roll. We got a 5. I think we're going to miss. So we hit 5 here and we hit OK. So here you can see, yes, we missed. So that means I can just cancel this out. If it's Mercy's turn next, let's have her go ahead, and she's going to do her attack. Go to actions. So crossbow, let's go ahead. She's going to do a crossbow attack. Let's say that Mercy doesn't, this is 2 people on the same machine, and Dutheon likes to roll his own dice. Mercy does not. She's fine with the digital dice. So what you can actually do here is just click on the little roll, and it will automatically roll it. Now, ooh, nat 20, nice. Now, one thing to say is you cannot actually roll in the dice tower. I don't think you can do this. No. You can't drag that and roll it into the dice tower. So if you're doing rolls on skill checks and stuff like that, like an insight check here, it'll pop up here. We can roll the die. We get a 19. We can put in 19 and then hit OK. However, we cannot do it in the dice tower. So that is one thing that is not allowed. So Mercy got a crit hit. Here now we can say, let's see, what's our D8? We rolled an 8 on 1. So an 8 there. And an 8 again. Max damage. Beautiful. Hit OK. And now you can see it did 18 damage because it did the +2. If we would have had that guy targeted, it would have automatically removed it. But of course, she hit herself instead. And now she's dead. So it'll automatically apply these effects to your character. And this is what I was talking about. On accident, we had Mercy targeted when we wanted to target him. So this is something you definitely have to watch. But from what I've seen, it's also in other ones as well. So it's not just this. We'll go ahead and reset her health. I think this gives you a really quick crash course of Fantasy Grounds. Oh, there actually is one last thing I wanted to talk about. Under options, if you are creating your character, let's go ahead and click options. I think because I was outside the VM. We talked about languages. These are currencies that the GM has set up. Those are default ones. But this one right here is the sidebar, and this is good. Setup right here is that same window we had at the beginning. So if you really want it back, you can go show on load again. But this is the one I wanted to talk about, is the sidebar. So if you are playing, then right now it's set to the default play. If you're creating a PC, you're going to want other things. You're going to want your background classes, races, and such. If you're the GM, and running the story, you're going to want story, you're going to want tables and that. You can also choose all, or you can clear everything if you don't want anything showing up there. So I just wanted to show this really quick. You can also customize which ones you want just by clicking up here. But the default when you load a game is actually set to that. So I think 40 minutes is almost too long to do this. One last thing is the party sheet. This is where any loot you get, parcels and stuff, it'll be gold and everything will be shown here. Also, we have our order for watch order, and then where we put people. It's kind of glitchy right now, but if I want to hold control and move this window just a little bit, it resets. And of course, it's trying to get me to confirm movements. So if we do that and then change the size just a tiny bit, it will do it. This only seems to have done that in this last couple updates or something. So hopefully that will get addressed and fixed, because it even does that on the GM. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm running this in a VM. So anyway, Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. I know this was long and maybe a little confusing. If you have any questions about anything additional, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Like I said, hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. And don't forget to tell other people, about my channel. Check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. We'll just grow the channel. And that is it. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.